Oh gosh. Well, it first started. Yeah. Okay. It's about three people, um, on a journey in the afterlife to find the shining city. So that is the premise, the basic premise. It's supposed to talk about God and all these kinds of things, and yeah. Really brief. It's just coming to being given the environment to sort of talk things through. I think that's very important, and I know Robin and Casey really try not to like sort of impose on me, but they do bring up like certain points that they require me to think about a lot of the time, and that really helps because usually those things I've never thought to think about or I've never thought were necessary to be expressed within the play, and giving me these sort of these are I guess pointers, I guess, and helps you to develop it further, to push the work to a place that is more that's just better in general. Yeah. I don't know. When I first came into this process, I didn't know anything, and I still think I don't know anything. It's just that I don't know. Now I know what I don't know. I think that's very important. So, for example, just character work in general. How you actually supposed to feel about the characters? You know, how much can we kind of make them concrete in certain ways. Direction as well, how the environments affect the characters, all these sorts of things I had to go back and think about. Robin and Casey don't give answers, and I think that's their goal, to be facilitators, and that's good as well. Yeah, so it's more of just posing the questions and then having me come up with the answers myself. Yeah, or at least try to come up with something. Yeah. Challenges. I mean, the whole thing to me was a challenge already. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, writing is a challenge. I love it. I think I like it because of the specific sort of challenge that it poses. But you probably want to know specific sort of challenges. So, okay, let me try to think. One is just trying to keep being passionate about the material. I think for in 1 year and 6 months, you sort of get a bit jaded from looking at the same few characters all the time and just trying to make them go through a different journey, the same journey. What are they lacking? What are they not? And sometimes it gets a bit, yeah, in that sense, it gets a bit tiring. But you just gotta push through. I mean, I don't understand. Yeah, just because it's tiring doesn't mean you don't do it. So it's just about getting yourself to the computer and just putting something down, because putting down trash and then working on it is better than just not having anything there to work on. Yeah, it's just a matter of doing it, I think. Yeah. I never did discuss it with them, and this part at least, because at the start already, at the 1 year mark, we were talking about how it's gonna be like that. They already prepped me. They were like, it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be exciting. It's not gonna be as, you know, like it's not as much of exploration as it is a fine tuning, and in that sense, it's not, you know, it's gonna be as wonderful as it had been wonderful in that sense. So yeah, they already told me, and I said, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead with it. I want to see how far I can take this work, and even though right now it isn't in the place I want it to be at, it still work, and yeah, so it just, yeah, they prepped me. Short answer. Okay, Reprieve was choice of titles for Reprieve. Okay, for the first one, I don't. The first one that was dramatically read as well. It was a bit. I would say the writing process is a bit of a. In the back of my mind, I was always struggling with the kind of language to use. And when you're struggling with the language to use, and then you're struggling with what you want to say, you know, it just ends up being very convoluted and very obtuse in that way. And Reprieve was just chosen because it's sort of, I took it from like Catholicism, where, you know, they sort of, what do you call that? After you die, you enter this stage of it's kind of like in between heaven and pardon? Limbo? Yeah, something like that, right? Exactly, a liminal stage, and so and that's a stage, or reprieve, in other words, a stage before you enter judgment. So that was the first thing, and then I think that was a bit too overt, I think, so I changed it to going. And then for going was different because then I read a lot of plays that were sort of postmodern, contemporary, not so much in like naturalistic, but in the sense where those plays that experimented with like language usage, like Howard Baker and Sound Cakes plays and things like that. And those helped me to sort of give me a hint to how I could use the language as well. And so that was transition from the first one to the second one. And then the last one was more of just, was brought to my attention that the characters weren't characters, right? And I wasn't sure whether it was my intention to make them actually people, you know what I mean, with super apparent needs and desires and all these sorts of things. So, but I wasn't sure whether I wanted it or not. But it was brought to my attention that if that was what I was going for, it didn't hit the mark. And so I just tried to make them make their intentions stand out more and have them be affected by the environment that they were around in more, and that sort of progressed to the third draft. Yeah. Okay, the thing about that test read was that I had very little contact to Edith before that read itself. Edith just told me that whatever it is that I would write, she would direct. And that gives you a lot of freedom. And it'd be great if I was really good at what I was doing, which I wasn't. I was, as I said, I was the beginner. I am still a beginner. And so I didn't know particularly what I was doing. When I went to the test read, I think a lot of concerns that were brought up were more about directorial concerns. Do you have any like symbolisms? They don't particularly talk about how it could have been done better, but they talk more about how my vision of the script could aid their production of it. So they don't try to change the script, or at least that's what my test read went out was like. I'll be seeing Brian's later. So yeah, so it was more of that, and I think it's I think I was a bit confused to how to use that information as well. So because I didn't particularly know where to begin to start sort of editing the whole thing. And I think, yeah, so it was a bit confusing. And I think that's why we're not having another read as well for that reason. Haresh critique, yeah. It did help me in, it just sort of confirmed all my fears about the script. So it helps though, like the fact that it was way too obtuse, way too recondite, difficult to access. But he did talk about certain elements which he did like, and yeah, and that helped me, made me know what to keep and know what not to keep as well. Yeah, but I was pretty confused then. So yeah. Right now, the most recent draft, no. When I was writing it, I wasn't very happy either with it. There was a deadline, I had to meet it, and I was gonna try. And when I was trying, a lot of times I was like, oh crap, this isn't going the way I want it to, or I'm not interested in parts of what I'm writing. I was not in parts, not in totality, but in certain parts. And I think when you hit that point, you sort of realize that then you need to change something. But at that point of time, I already didn't have that much time left, so I just kept going. Am I happy with but at the same time, I'm never happy with anything I do. I think that's pretty, it's a good thing and a bad thing. Yeah, I look at something and I think, I do something, I think it's great for 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks I just stare at it and I'm disappointed. So, yeah, so, yeah. But it helps me move on, you see. So, yeah, I don't get stuck onto one thing, yeah, and think it's great. Oh yeah, it haunts me sometimes. Like oh yeah, it does. Because when I first wrote for them, right, it was, as I always say, I knew nothing, and so I went in and I was like, I'm gonna read 3 plays, and that's gonna be all my research I'm gonna do, and I just went for it, right, and somehow a play emerged. I wouldn't call it much of a play, but it had dialogue, people were talking, so yeah, and it just being in this process, you kind of realize how much work it's required, right? Previously, I knew that work was required. I just didn't know how much I needed to at least attempt doing before the actual writing of it. It's not a matter. It's not just a matter of sitting in front of the computer, typing out a couple of lines and hoping that that becomes something else. It's about grounding it in well, research. Yeah, it's just not so much about like the reading papers. It's more about also not just about that. You have to do that, but it's also about thinking about the subject matter and why it affects you specifically, and being able to present that in linguistics, right? And it's not. And previously, the writing was like a form of exploration. You know, you wrote and then you discover things about yourself, and that's just self-indulgent. And then now you realize that you already need to have settled all that before you attempt writing the play, or at least that's what I feel needs to be done, right? I'm reading Howard Baker now, and he's like, no, you don't have to do that. You can just write from a place where you don't know. Different sort of methodologies. Well, my friends aren't. They don't intend to write, right? Yeah, but if they would, I would just say, don't be precious with your work. Yeah, don't think that just because you've come up with something that you are proud of doesn't mean it's good, and that there's always room for improvement. And I think focusing on what the work could be as compared to what you have now, it's going to help you from all that heartbreak when you bring the script in and they tell you that it's not adequate. And most of the time it's because they know better, and it's because it's not adequate. So don't be afraid to tear up something that you used to think was good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just pretty sad that it's over. I think I was pretty, yeah. I was really upset. I was like, crying, and stuff like that. And then for like a while, and I stopped. And by that I mean I just for like 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So no, it was great. I loved it. I would do it again. But I think right now, if I were to come into this process, I think I'll be a lot more prepared. Previously, it just came in with an idea, and it's very easy to be enamored with ideas. It's not about having a good idea, though it helps. It's about the execution of the idea. So I would come in more prepared. Well, when I first came in, I was not prepared at all. I just thought a concept was cool. I didn't even, it didn't resound with me as much as it should. I would be, perhaps I'll just be more invested in the subject matter that I'll be bringing in, to the process itself. Yeah. Yeah. And having specific things that I want for the end product. Because when I first came in, I didn't know anything I wanted for the end product. I just knew that I wanted to write a play, and I knew that I wanted to be proud of it. Yeah. So in that case, a lot of times I'll be probed with what do you want, right? We can tell you all these things that are lacking, but at the end of the day, you need to decide what you want for the end product. And and the thing is, I never knew what I wanted for the end product. So a lot of times when I got all that critique, I didn't know what to focus on, what to bring to that. I don't know. I might refine it a couple after a while, but I don't think so because I know that I will use all the things that I have discovered through this process about my feelings towards the theme in other works. I know that I will use it in that way, but having it hold its own, I realized that throughout the process that maybe it didn't have enough. Well, I didn't feel enough for it in its own. So yeah, I might break it apart. I might redo it. The thing is, like a theme like religion and the way I've been raised, it will constantly be revived in different with different facets in different scripts. It's just that it will never be presented in its totality, maybe in that fashion. Yeah. So just because it dies in that doesn't mean it won't reincarnate into something else. Yeah.